Welcome back, Beaver Nation, to another edition of the Beaver Sports Show. Alongside me, as always, is Alex Crawford, and joining us once again from the OSU men's golf team is Johnny Motomochi, and I'm Boon Kruger.
Boon, thanks for having me back on. Really excited to be here. And Johnny, great job this weekend down in Texas. Heard you were swinging the 9-iron like a pro.
And a couple other clubs too.
Yeah, just you really only need the 9-iron, right?
Yeah, maybe sometimes.
Okay.
Boon, thanks for having me. Love doing it. And like I said, thanks for inviting me on.
Great to have you, both of you, on. Well, it was a great weekend for the baseball team as the 11th ranked UCLA Bruins came to Goss Stadium and Oregon State got the much needed series win. Coming up, we'll have highlights from the series.
Also coming up, we'll talk to Jack Lomax and Mitch Singler as they interviewed some of their teammates during spring football practice.
And we'll also catch up with the softball team, men's rowing, men's golf, and gymnastics as they all competed this weekend.
From the KBVR TV studio on the campus of Oregon State University, this is the Beaver Sports Show.
Following Friday night's loss to UCLA, Pat Casey handed the reins to freshman pitcher Jace Fry, who in turn pitched a complete game shutout as the Beavers defeated the Bruins 3-0. The freshman from Beaverton, Oregon struck out 6 UCLA batters and only gave up 6 hits as he picked up his 4th win of the season. Ryan Dunn paced the Beavers offensively as he had 3 hits, including a home run in the 6th inning and 2 RBIs. Sunday's game was the rubber match of the series as the Beavers look to pick up their first conference series win since April 1st. With more on Sunday's game, here is Sports Show reporter Ashley Betmalik.
Sunday afternoon, the Beavs secured the series win by defeating the 11th ranked Bruins 7-6. Oregon State took advantage of 3 errors by UCLA starter Zach Weiss to take a 2-0 lead early in the game. In the 7th inning, senior Ryan Gorton hit a 2-run single to give OSU a 6-4 lead. Junior Ryan Detman later went on to score on a pass ball, giving the Beavers their 7th run of the game, which turned out to be the game winner. After the Bruins scored 2 in the 9th, UCLA had runners on 1st and 2nd, but reliever Tony Bryant was able to get UCLA's right fielder to fly out to left and close out the game. With the win, the Beavs improved to 26-12 overall this season and 8-7 in the Pac-12. They are now ranked 28th.
Thanks, Ashley. The baseball team will travel to Los Angeles this week to play the University of Southern California. The first pitch on Friday is at 6 p.m. Quarterback Jack Lomax and wide receiver Mitch Singler of the Oregon State football team are back again to give us the very latest from spring ball, straight from the horse's mouth.
Welcome, Beaver fans. I'm Mitch Singler along with Jack Lomax, sitting here on a beautiful Saturday after practice number 11 for the Beavers. Spring practice is going good. Throughout the week, the Beavers really improved on it. I think team's looking pretty good. We're on a kind of roll now. Jack, how do you think the Beavers have looked so far throughout spring?
Well, you know, it's all about reps, I think. We've gotten a lot of reps. A lot of football's been played, and that's going to help everyone out, especially the young players. You know, Sean, you got a young quarterback, but you can already see tremendous improvement. I think it's going to be a great year. Got a lot of big stars and some seniors that'll help us lead.
Coach Riley was gone throughout the week due to family reasons. How do you think the team practiced without Coach Riley?
You know, Banker, I think we were kind of more fast-paced, you know, if you notice that. You know, with Riley here, we kind of like to slow it down and make everything clean, and Banker just likes to go through things fast, and we got down practice a little bit earlier sometimes, but I think it was good.
We had a couple scrimmages today. Beavers looked pretty good. How do you think the scrimmage went for us?
Again, you know, about reps, I think a lot of our running backs made a lot of plays. Defense is always going to look strong in spring. You know, it's kind of harder to set the offense in, but I think as a whole we did pretty well.
Throughout the scrimmage today, there's a couple exciting plays, a couple deep balls with Marcus Wheaton, big block by fullback Tyler Anderson. A couple plays like this kind of spark a young team. What do you think for next year needs to happen for a young team like us?
Well, I think just like you said, spark. I mean, you see Ty's hit and everybody's, you know, jumping up and down the sidelines. It's just momentum and people wanting to play. I think that's what spring ball brings out of these players, so I think it's good.
Spring's going good for us. Just finished our 3rd week. Now we're going to interview Sean Mannion and cornerback Rashad Reynolds.
I'm here, Sean Mannion. Sean, How do you think spring ball as a whole has gone for this team?
I think it's gone really well. We just finished our 3rd week of practice, and I think we've improved a lot. But 1 week left, we're going to keep getting better.
Exactly. We had a kind of a rough season last year. How do you expect our team to pull through that and kind of play better as the upcoming year?
I think it made our focus in spring practice even greater. Everyone wants to do better than we did last year, and I think we put a lot of hard work in to improve that.
Seems like right now in spring we're on kind of a roll. How do we keep that going through summer and into the season?
I think it just comes with finishing strong this last week of practice next week. It takes some momentum into the summer workouts, and we'll definitely keep working to get better.
Okay, and last question, for all the fans, what's one thing that you want them to know about Sean Mannion?
I'm not sure. I guess I love playing football for the Beavers, and I'm excited to keep doing it.
Thanks, Sean.
No problem.
We're here with cornerback Rashad Reynolds. So Rashad, how do you think spring ball's going?
It's going well. The team is making big strides, so it's going good.
What do you think the team needs to improve on the most?
Working on little details. We miss a lot of little assignments that we shouldn't do. So once we fix that, we should be all right.
Going into senior year, how do you feel you need to take on the leadership role?
Got to be more vocal as a leader, and then obviously lead by example, because a lot of the younger guys look up to older guys, so we got to do it.
Today we had a scrimmage. How do you think the team did?
It went well. Seen a lot of good plays on both sides, so it wasn't lopsided, which is good. You seen the good hits and you seen good plays out there. It was all good.
How are you working on improving your game? 'Cause last year we kind of had a struggle, as everyone knows. How are you stepping up your game and improving everyone else's game?
Being a leader out there, telling guys, when they're in the wrong positions, getting them where they need to go, and just learning more about the defense as a whole, which would make me better as a player because I know what everybody else is doing around me.
Finish things off. What is something Beaver fans would want to know about Rashad Reynolds?
That he's a hard worker, loves football, love them all.
Thank you.
Next for Research Stadium for practice number 11. Back to you guys.
The gymnastics team traveled this past weekend to Duluth, Georgia to compete in the NCAA championships at the Gwinnett Center. The Beavers' trip to the NCAAs marked the 7th straight appearance at the NCAA championships for Oregon State and the 23rd trip overall. With more on the gymnastics team, here is sports reporter Mackie Swan.
The Oregon State gymnastics team placed 12th overall at the 2012 NCAA championships this past weekend in Duluth, Georgia. Although the team was unable to reach their goal of making the Super Six for the first time since 1996, junior Melanie Jones qualified for her first appearance in individual event finals for her floor exercise. Jones tied for 4th in the finals Sunday afternoon. This is the best standing an OSU gymnast has seen on floor since 1993. Jones earned her first team All Pac-12 honors this season. Leslie Mack and Michaela Stambaugh also received second team All-American honors. This was the first time in Oregon State history that 3 gymnasts received All-American honors on the floor exercise. The Beavers began this weekend on floor, suffering several out-of-bounds deductions. But high scores from Jones, Mack, and Stambaugh kept the Beavers on track. After vault, the Beavers were in 5th at the halfway point of the competition. Despite strong performances on uneven bars from Stambaugh and Brittany Harris, and one of the best beam sets the team has performed all season, the Beavers were unable to recover, and Alabama won its 2nd consecutive championship title. Coach Tanya Chaplin told OSUBeavers.com that she was proud of the way the team continued throughout the meet. To finish with a great beam rotation really shows that they never quit and kept competing to the end, Chaplin said.
The softball team, fresh off a disappointing trip to Palo Alto, returned to Corvallis this weekend to take on the 9th-ranked Washington Huskies. Having struggled in conference play prior to this weekend, this series became a very important one as people were beginning to question whether the Beavers could get it done in one of the toughest conferences in the country. Kurt Walker's team responded to the naysayers with an impressive series win. With more on the softball team, here is sports reporter Mackie Swan.
Washington started Game 1 on Friday afternoon. Washington started Game 1 on Friday afternoon with an early lead, but Hannah Buska's single in the bottom of the 3rd paved the way for an Oregon State comeback. The 6th and 7th innings sealed the win for the Beavs as Allie Cutts, Madison Bundy, Mary Claire Brenner, and Paige Hall all made significant plays. The Lady Beavs managed to pull ahead with a final score of 4-3. The win marked OSU's 28th victory of the season, securing its highest total in any of the last 5 years, while also acquiring more Pac-12 wins than any of the previous 3 seasons. Play began again Saturday with Oregon State looking to steal the series win. Danny Gilmore went 2 for 4 with a home run in the second, a 3-run shot, marking her 6th home run of the season and giving the Beavs a 6-3 lead. Washington's Nikia Williams then brought the Huskies within 2 as she also tallied a home run. Soon after in the third, Paige Hall relieved starting OSU pitcher Aaron Fickett. Hall surrendered only 3 hits in 3 innings at the mound. The tension in the stadium continued to grow as Washington inched ahead in the 9th following Williams' 2nd home run of the game. The Beavers were narrowly defeated with a final score of University of Washington 7, Oregon State 6. The final game was led by OSU's Tina Andrina, who pitched the entire match. The Beavers finished the series with a 3-2 win over the Huskies. The conclusion of the weekend puts the OSU softball team at 244 runs this season, the 7th most in the school's history within a given year. The Lady Beavs still have 11 chances to increase their total in hopes of beating the all-time school record of 296 runs.
Thanks, Mackie. The softball team returned to action earlier this week as they hosted the Portland State Vikings and took both games from PSU, winning 2-0 and 3-2. The Beavers traveled to Salt Lake City this weekend to take on the Utah Utes in a Pac-12 conference matchup. The men's rowing team was back on the water this past weekend as they traveled to Boston, Mass to compete against Northeastern and Holy Cross. With a recap on how they did, here is men's rower and sports show reporter Morgan Bowman.
This past weekend, our varsity boat had a decent race on the Charles River in Boston, Massachusetts. The varsity boat, which included 2 of my roommates, faced the 8th nationally ranked Northeastern varsity boat, as well as Holy Cross's varsity boat. Both Ty Lewis and Chris Knopfziger said it was a great experience rowing in Boston on the Charles River, where Harvard and many other great teams row. Northeastern took first place with a time of 6 minutes and 11 seconds. Oregon State placed second with a time of 6 minutes and 25 seconds, with Holy Cross right behind them, coming in third place. Overall, I feel the Beavers had a great weekend, and we are gearing up for the epic battle against the nation's fastest crew, the University of Washington, and possibly Argentina's national boat in Seattle for the Windermere Cup on May 5th.
Thanks, Morgan. The Oregon State men's golf team was in College Station this past weekend at the Aggie Invitational hosted by Texas A&M. The Beavers struggled with inconsistency throughout the tournament and ended up in 8th place. Our own co-host, Johnny Motomochi, had a solid tournament and shot a 1-under par 71 in the final round, coming alone in 14th. Nick Cianello, who's had a very solid spring, came tied for 17th. Redshirt sophomore David Fink came back from the DL after a couple of months and played well. Alex Moore, Nick Sherwood, and Matt Rawitzer finished 54th, 56th, and 58th, respectively. The Beavs are at home this weekend for the first time in 2 years for the Pac-12 championships at Trysting Tree Golf Course here in Corvallis. Admission is free, and the tournament runs all weekend from Friday, April 27th to April 29th. Come out and support the team, or you're a loser.
We're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, Alex and Johnny are going to debate some OSU questions that I want answered in our newest segment, the Beaver Roundtable. Welcome back to the Beaver Sports Show on KBVR TV, and it's time for the Beaver Roundtable as Alex and Johnny are going to debate some of the most important topics at Oregon State University for the athletic program. The first question relates back to last week when we discussed Mike Riley's job status, if they were going to have a losing season next year, how hot his seat would be. But this week, the question is, what does OSU need to do to get back to bowl eligibility? And specifically, what position group needs to step up for OSU?
Johnny, if you don't mind, I'd like to take this one.
Take it.
I think the position group that needs to step up is definitely the linebackers. We've been showing improvement with our defensive ends, with our defensive backs, especially with Poyer. Rashad Reynolds has looked very good in spring practice, but our major gap remains at the linebacker position. Now, next year, it's projected probably we're going to have Fedi Unga, DJ Welch, and Michael Doctor in there. All 3 guys who I think can make an impact, and I think that there's going to be a huge improvement. Trent Bray is coming in as a graduate assistant, and he's been preaching to these guys, simple plays, speed, make plays on the ball. Don't get too complicated with your linebackers, but keep it simple. Make plays on the ball.
Of those three guys, who do you think is going to be the leader?
I gotta go with Fetty Unga. I mean, he was doing real good last season, but he struggled with some injuries. I got to go with him as the leader out of that group. And I think Trent Bray is going to really help as a graduate assistant in there, helping them coach. And he's a guy with a lot of experience, a guy who did very well here at Oregon State. If you want to stop a spread offense, for example, University of Oregon, it starts with the defensive line, but you got to have mobile linebackers. And I think that's our position that needs to improve the most.
All right. Johnny, what do you think?
I would agree that our linebackers have to improve, but I think those three guys can do a really good job in there. For me, it's the offensive line. I've been talking about the offensive line for at least a year and a half now. I really think they're going to be young coming in next year, and I just really think to protect Mannion, to protect whoever's being a running back, Mannion needs the time to throw the ball. Running backs need the holes. They just can't create it on their own. So I believe it's the offensive line for sure. And I mean, this is such a young quarterback. I mean, Mannion does have a year under his belt, but I still think obviously he needs time back there.
Yeah, definitely. And whenever Oregon State has had success in the past, it's always been because they've had a really strong running game, but also their linebackers have been really good. So they really need both groups to step up.
I mean, yeah, we were West Coast linebacker. Nick Barnett, Ellison, Trent Bray was killing it.
James Allen.
So many good linebackers. But I do agree with you, Johnny. The offensive line has got to be there because we've got receivers, we've got talent.
Yeah.
But
the wide receiving core, we have such a good wide receiver core. And we just need someone to throw them the ball and the time. And I just think that offensive line
Mannion needs time.
Yeah.
Mannion needs time.
Yeah, and one of our viewers actually asked the question, what about the running backs?
Viewers?
Yeah, we have viewers, if you believe it or not. But who at the running back position do you think will have the starting job? Or do you think they're going to be running back by committee?
I think it's Malcolm's. I think it's Malcolm Agnew's to lose. His injuries have been hurting him, no pun intended, but I think it's his to lose. Teron Ward has been showing really good spring ball, but like I said, I think it's Agnew's.
I think it's Agnew's to lose. I think it's Storm Woods to take from Agnew. Mike Riley said he's got the best hands out of any receiver, any running back coming out of the backfield, which as we've seen in the past with Jaquiz Rogers and Steven Jackson, Yevinson Bernard, Oregon State likes running backs who can also play a little receiver, who can catch the ball. And I think Storm Woods is going to emerge, especially if I like what Agnew's doing, but if his hamstring issues keep up, I think Storm Woods is going to be the guy next year.
It's obviously an issue with him, and I've watched a little bit of Storm Woods in practice too, and he looks really good.
Yeah.
And it obviously helps having another receiver coming out of the backfield. And I mean, Storm Woods could fill that position, but as a specialty guy, I think anyway.
Okay.
And another key to the OSU offense is having the running back be a pass protector for the quarterback. Who do you guys think is the better of the two then?
God, you know what? I'm not really sure. I think both of those guys are not. I mean, we saw with Jaquiz Rogers, that dude could pass block. Out of those two, I'm not really sure if either of them are going to be as good as that. Yeah. I'm not qualified to make that statement.
That's going to have to be figured out in fall.
Well, we conducted an interview with Malcolm, and he said he looks at film just for pass blocking. And I think Storm Woods and Teron Ward, for that matter, would be better right now. But I know that Malcolm's working at it, and I mean, they all should be working at it because they need pass protection.
Yeah, I mean, well, there also is something definitely to be said for Malcolm making a strong case for being the starting running back if he is healthy. First start ever, 200 yards rushing.
Yeah.
Even though it was in a loss to Sacramento State, that is still really impressive.
For sure.
Next question, the BCS conference commissioners are all meeting in Florida this past week to talk about proposed playoff scenarios or what they should do to the BCS postseason, college football postseason. If you guys were in charge, how would you would you have bowls like it currently is, or what kind of playoff format would you have?
I've been thinking about this for years because the BCS system is so ridiculous, and I think everyone can agree with that. 6 main conferences have their conference winners. They all get in the playoffs. The top 2 that aren't the conference winners also get in the playoffs. So you have an 8-team playoff system. All the main bowls stay there. I think it works out perfectly. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I remember working it out, and I think every single bowl game gets one of those playoff games. So it works out perfect, and I really like my system because the conference champion has to get in.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a great system, and there has to be a playoff without a doubt. But the BCS is run by a bunch of old men with a lot of money that don't like to make radical decisions like adding in a playoff system. So I think 8 teams off the bat might be too much for them. I'm going to go with a 6-team playoff format where you got 4 teams that play on the first weekend in whatever bowls. I haven't figured that out yet. That's for them to decide. But then the 1 and 2 overall in the BCS, they get a first-round bye. Now, there's 6 automatic qualifying conferences for the BCS. If you're in the top 10 and you're in one of those automatic qualifying conferences, you get into a bowl. But if you're not, for example, let's talk about the ACC or the Big East, conferences that are downright trash when it comes to college football. If you win the Big East and your record is 9-4 and you're ranked number 17 in the nation, you don't get to play in the playoff. Someone like Boise State, someone like, I don't know, TCU on a good year, they're going to get in and they're going to get a shot to play for it. So that's my system. 6 teams, 1 and 2 get a first-round bye. And then, you have to be in the top 10, though, to make it in.
With that, though, are there bowl games to go along?
They're held at bowl game sites.
Okay, they're held at bowl game sites.
That's what I was thinking
They
as
have
well.
to be held at bowl games.
I like your system as well, and it is the exact same as the AFC or the NFC in football. It's just the one conference. I do disagree. I think your conference champion has to get in. I agree with you. The ACC is trash. Big East trash.
What about the non-BCS conferences? I mean, like Boise State playing the WAC forever.
In my
There's
system,
schools like Boise State.
If they go undefeated, then they get in.
Your system does allow for that, and I think your system makes more people happy than my system, but I just think the BCS is just so slow to make any major changes that they are more likely to adapt a 6-team system than an 8-team off the bat.
I agree with you.
But I like your system. BCS, if you're watching, hire us.
Well, the championship division, or the Division I AA, they certainly make it work. And they have a 16-team playoff.
Yeah.
And it's very competitive. I'm sure you guys have seen it on TV. So something definitely needs to be done, either a +1, which they're thinking about. They're also thinking about having it at bowl sites. They don't think it would be feasible to have it at the universities. Like, for example, if they were to play it at Oregon, hotel rooms and all that.
And bowls are part of college football, too. You don't want to take away the bowl tradition from college football.
One thing with the division that has the 16-team playoff, it's all money with them. They lose a little bit of money doing that, I think anyway, and I'm sure they've thought about that. And with the lower division, they don't have as much money thrown around. I mean, it's not the money-making
It's not
division.
the money that they make at this level of play. Certainly not. Well, one thing that is definitely in favor of some sort of playoff is the Rose Bowl. The Rose Bowl has said that, hey, we're not going to hold against any playoff. The Rose Bowl would actually be included, even though they do want to keep that historic Pac-10 or Pac-12 Big Ten matchup. So that is something to look for in the future, hopefully happening by 2014, I believe. So the third and final question for tonight, though, happens to do with the baseball team. They've won 9 of their last 10 games. They got that big series win against UCLA last week at Goss Stadium. There's still 5 Pac-12 series left. But what do you think is going to happen for the rest of the year for this team?
I think that the team's hot right now. And like we talked about last week, baseball is a sport where if you get some momentum, you get on a hot streak, like we saw with the San Francisco Giants a couple years ago when they got hot at the end of the season, won the World Series. You get on a hot streak, anything's possible. So there are, 5 series left? I think Oregon State wins 4 of those 5. I think they drop either the series to Stanford or the series to Oregon. 2 teams that are right now in Baseball America's top 25 poll. But other than that, I think that Oregon State probably sweeps Utah, who's struggling in this new conference. I think they take 2 of 3 against USC, 2 of 3 against Washington, and then probably lose a series to either Oregon or Stanford.
Yeah,
it's easy in baseball to drop a series, and it's going to happen. We did talk about momentum, and baseball momentum is huge, and they got it right now. I mean, we did see it with the Giants. We see it every year in the MLB. We saw it with us in 06 and 07. And the fact that we are hot right now, I really do think that we'll do great things coming down the stretch. We got guys on 10-game hit streaks. Ryan Gordon.
He's got a nice mustache, too.
Great mustache. Great mustache.
Yeah, Michael Conforto is smacking the ball out of the park. He has over 50 RBIs already, which has to be an Oregon State record. So.
But the bats are hot. Let up 1 run against Oregon this week, and I mean they're looking good. I hope they can continue.
Do you think they can host regional?
I think so. I mean they won
especially if they
definitely a super regional.
Okay.
A regional, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean they got to keep going.
There's still plenty of baseball left. 5 series.
I think they host a regional if they do win 4 of these 5 series, and with maybe like a sweep against Utah and a sweep against, I don't know, Washington State.
Okay.
They host our super regional. We'll see.
All right. Well, this wraps up this week's Beavers Roundtable. And before we end the show,
Be sure to tune in to Against the Spread Sports Talk Radio this Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. Got a great show coming up for you. We'll be on for the full 2 hours this week.
And Johnny, how about the Pac-12 Men's Golf Championship this weekend?
Our team's super excited to host the Pac-12s this weekend, April 27th, 29th. Like Alex said early in the show, and come out. I've been here 4 years, and I've never played in a tournament at home, so it's going to be a different type of pressure, and some of the best players in the country are going to be there. So we're all excited, and I hope we get a lot of support.
What's the best time to come out and see Oregon State play?
Well, Friday we play all day from about 8 to 2.
Okay.
Sorry, 8 to 6. 8 to 6 Friday, 10 hours, and then we play Saturday morning, Sunday morning. I mean, whenever you're free, come out, and we'll love it. We'll love it either way because we never get support anyway. And going to Texas A&M, there's no one there, so.
Can I bring a big Johnny Motomochi cardboard cutout head?
I hope you do.
Okay, I'll see.
I hope you do.
I'm going to go talk to OSU Printing and see what I can get going.
Beautiful.
All right, and on behalf of Alex Crawford, Johnny Motomochi, good luck this weekend, by the way. And everyone here at the Beaver Sports Show, I'm Boon Kruger. Hope you have a great night, and we'll see you back here next week.